Hi, everyone. This is Angela Clark and my husband, Dan Clark. And you guys can see my book. I've got it up on the screen right there that's just come out, actually. And I'm really proud of this book. And I'm really excited about it because, sometimes we get in these little places in life that where we're unhappy and we don't really understand what's going on even. We just know that we're miserable. And so we're going to talk about one aspect of it today, and that's the codependent type situation you find yourself where you've lost yourself. Okay, so it's the topic is losing yourself. And so let me just ask you, do you suppose that it's possible that you maybe have lost touch with what you like, what you love, what your dreams are? So I just want to just test you a little bit here. So let's just say, do you know what kind of foods you like? Do you know, if you were given the choice to go on vacation, do you know exactly where you'd want to go? Do you have an absolute opinion about that? Or do you just kind of bumble around what your husband wants or someone else in your family? I mean, it's important for you to know what you like and don't like. Sometimes people don't even know, if they were asked, what kind of animal do you want to go and get at the shelter today? We're going to go get us a new dog. What kind of dog do you want to get? I don't know. That's a lot of time our answers when we're codependent. And my book has a lot about codependency in it and just trying to get untangled from all of that and learn how to be different that makes us feel good about ourselves. Because there was a time when I would speak and no one wanted to hear what I had to say. And a lot of the reason I discovered later was because my face literally said, I don't value myself, and it permeated it somehow, where people didn't want to hear anything I had to say. It's like, oh God, there's a stupid woman. They don't even know anything about me, right? But somehow the look and demeanor and the presence that I put out stated that I'm a woman who has no self-esteem. It was written all over my face. A terrible thing.
Yeah.
Huh, Dan?
Yeah.
And Dan's been with people who had very low self-esteem, and he learned how to have great compassion, and thank God that I met him when I was in that situation, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And he defended me mightily, which is really, really cool. But usually we don't have that opportunity to be defended. We're kind of on our own. So I'm here to give you some great tools that will help you to try to figure all these little things out. And all the little changes that you make are going to make life start feeling better and better and better. And it is bit by bit. I'm just going to be honest with you. But anyway, so let's just get back to it. What kind of movie, if you want to go see a certain kind of movie, what kind of movie do you like?
And I would say right there, not what kind your husband likes. Or if you're a husband in this case that's lost himself in the relationship, you might say, what kind of movie do you like? Maybe your wife just wants to watch chick flicks all the time, and you go, okay.
Right.
Well, it's the other way too. Maybe, you go to the movie and, the wife doesn't have an opinion. He's going to go see Rocky. He's going to go see a baseball game. He's going to go see...
Or like you said, she always wants to go see a romantic movie, which is of no interest to you whatsoever.
Right.
It's got no stimulation in your present view of things. And I could go completely relate to that.
Yeah, and I want to say something along those lines of this. I have to bring up Oprah Winfrey. I remember when Oprah Winfrey came on there, and the women that were coming on there had lost themselves. They never even met themselves. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'd say, what do you like to do? What's your purpose in life? Oh, I don't have a purpose. My purpose is to clean the dishes, vacuum the floor.
Right.
And so Oprah's show became an amazing, powerful show for women because she was rescuing women from being lost. In fact, this is important here, but women were actually 30, 40 years old without any identity. And when their husbands left them, over time, they didn't have anything. They didn't have any skills. They didn't have any purpose, and they didn't know who they were.
No hobbies.
No hobbies.
I mean, guys, honestly, a man likes to see a woman do some independent things. Like, I don't know, go take some sort of class. Pottery class, I don't know, art class, something that interests you. And then, you come back and you have something interesting to say. But if they come home from work every single day and you have nothing of interest that you're doing, nothing's separate other than the house cleaning all day long, where's the stimulation for him even? Just in what you experienced in your travels about for the day. You got to have something a little bit more sparky than, I did the dishes, I cleaned, I dusted all the, ceilings today, and I cleaned the bathroom. There's got to be more to you, and there is more to you. God just didn't make you a cleaning machine. He didn't make you a stay home and watch the kids, woman or man, and nothing more. You have to have some other stimulation. It's very important. So beyond that, what do you believe about God? Is it just morphed into what everybody else's beliefs are? Your husband's beliefs, because you don't want to rock the family boat? You don't want to have a different opinion, so you just sort of lose your own? You can't do that. I'm just telling you right now. It makes you resentful and angry. You stuff this stuff. You just kind of bumble around in an unconscious way. My book's called Awakening from Unconscious Resentment.
And I'd say it kind of spills out. It's kind of like passive aggressive. You're smiling, but you're seething.
Yes.
And that's the unconscious resentment,
Yes,
because
it is.
you're saying, oh, I'm fine, everything's fine, but everything isn't fine. You just sat through, maybe you went to the bar with your husband, or, maybe whatever it was. I'm not picking on guys or men. It can be either. But if you're doing stuff out of resentment and you never, like Angela said, you can't answer any of these questions, that's a good indication that you have stuffed a lot of stuff and you really don't know yourself.
Yeah, I know somebody in my family, somebody very important actually, that went to a certain kind of bar, I won't say what it is, with her husband, which she was absolutely 100 million times, trillion times over not okay with doing, but out of codependency, out of wanting to please and not make him mad at her, she went and resented it, for the rest of her life. And I think it caused a great deal of shame for her, and disgust and disdain and disrespect for her husband because she tolerated that. So, when we do those kind of things, it's sabotaging. One of the things we start, we sabotage our good relationship because we're not true to ourselves and to our belief. I talk about that in the book quite a little bit about that kind of thing. We've got to be true to ourselves and to know yourself. That's the important part right here, is that you lose yourself when you don't know yourself, when you don't know what you want, like, believe. Do you think that, so if you got to choose something that you wanted to do, and you asked for it, you asked your mate, you asked your loved one, is it okay if we do this? Could you do that? Could you ask? Are you free to ask? If not, why not? What's stopping you? What is the problem here? Because, again, if you don't deal with it, you're just like a volcano that's going to erupt one day. It's just, you're accumulating daily. And I was just talking to a gal last night on the phone that she's been with this guy for many, many years. They broke up even one time, came back together again. And literally, they would get in a fight every single solitary time. She would listen to music. And so she finally put a rule in the house, no music in this house. That's how bad it was. And then more recently, Elvis Presley, they had some sort of a documentary about Elvis Presley, and so she was watching it and had little clips of his songs. And a fight broke out. Same thing as always. And anyway, she just informed me last night that guy is not in her life anymore. They never got married, but he literally took away the joy of music. She loves music, loves it, all about it. But he was jealous, and she couldn't listen to music anymore because it made life absolutely beyond miserable. That's beginning to lose yourself, because that was a part of her that was a very important part of her life, and that was snatched right out. We have to get to the bottom of these things with our mate. Like, why is it that every time we listen to music, you completely blow up? Can we please agree that is not going to go on anymore? I love music. It's very important to me. See, that's getting your voice. That's making sure that you don't lose yourself, that what's important to you. Another thing for me is, like, for example, I would tell my mom, I don't want you to talk to me about this religion that I grew up in because I don't believe it anymore, Mom. And then what should she do? She just ignored me like I didn't even speak. Like nothing came out of my mouth, as if I don't even exist. And she just kept right on with Dan Wright standing next to me. I was just barely dating him at the time, a little bit, sort of. He was my friend at least at that point. And I just couldn't believe it. And it's breaking boundaries. See, that's another thing us codependents don't know. This book talks quite a little bit about codependency issues, is that we don't know how to set boundaries. So I had set a boundary with my mother and asked her not to speak with me about that. She broke it, and I didn't know what to do, so I ran out of the house, and I took a very long walk because I was very, very mad. And she continued to do this for a long, long time until I finally just said, you know what, if you don't stop it and you don't respect my boundaries, then we're not going to be able to have communication. I'm going to have to start not answering your phones, and God only knows how long that will be. Mom, I can't tolerate this. I won't tolerate it. And I did have to do that for a while because it mattered to me. My opinion mattered to me. I mattered to me. And whereas before I met Dan, my self-esteem was down to nothing. My voice was so small that no one wanted to hear what I had to say. And that hurt me really badly. So one of the things that I began to do was I started to say, you know what? I'm beginning to realize, having taken these 12-step groups and understanding about codependency, that I've lost my voice and I need to get it back. So when people would just talk right over me and ignore me, like I started saying something, and then they would just talk right over me like I had never said anything. And this happened to me again and again. And so I would say, wait a minute, hold it. Excuse me, I was talking. Can you let me finish, please? And just doing that made my self-esteem grow a little bit. And each time I did that, it grew a little bit more until I realized my opinion does matter. What I have to say does matter. And I started to have a little bit more things I had to say, and people began to respect what I had to say because they could see on my face, my demeanor, my essence, that I believed in me and I believed in what I had to say. I felt what I had to say was important. And then they began to want to listen to me. Whereas before it was like, oh God, let's see what this dumb chick has to say, kind of a thing. They could see it on my face. So it really does matter. It's really important that we kind of get to understanding what it is I'm all about, what it is that I believe in, what is important to me, what do I believe about this, that, and the other thing, politics, God, school, raising kids, sex, I don't know, everything. Do you have an opinion? It's important that you have one. And you know what's beautiful about it is we're all unique. Wouldn't you say, Dan? We're all extremely unique.
Yep.
And we all do it different, say it different.
Yep. And the main thing is you want the relationship to be healthy. You have two different individuals. And so if you don't consider that she's important, that it's all about me, then she's hurting. Or if it's all about her and nothing about me, then I'm hurting. And the goal of all of this book and everything, is to get beyond this unconscious resentment and start speaking to it, start looking at it, this is kind of like a test even that you take, like asking yourself those questions. My God, what's my favorite color? Wow, what's my favorite food? And if you answered, well, he likes fajitas, and he likes this, and he likes that, or vice versa, then you've lost yourself, and one of you is going to be unhappy.
Right.
And that's why Angela wrote this book, because she lived in that unhappy world for a long time. She didn't matter that much.
I did before I got into this mess, okay? But I slowly, it creeps in, guys. It's creepy. It's very slow and methodical and subtle, very subtle. It just happens over time, and you don't even notice it until you've suddenly lost yourself, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've lost myself. And so it's really important. Let me just tell you a little story that happened. So my husband one day said to me, Mike's husband, not this husband, this wonderful husband, but he said to me, well, where do you want to go today? We're going to go get something to eat. And I told him, this certain Mexican restaurant that I wanted to go to. And then guess what? We didn't go there. He just drove somewhere else, and that's where we went and ate. And this happened plenty often enough. Too many times, until I finally just said, when he would say, Angie, where do you want to go today, to here, there, or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, wherever you want to go. That was my pat answer. Say whatever you want. I'm good with that. Yeah, you pick. I don't know, because I know what's going to happen. We're not going to go where I want to go anyway. So obviously, my opinion didn't matter. My desires didn't matter. What I wanted didn't matter. I didn't have a voice. And I lost myself, literally. And this is not a good place to be, because literally what was going on that I wasn't aware of is that resentment was packing in, like I said, that volcano, right? It's just packing in. And I don't know what's going on, but I'm like frustrated, like I don't know why. I don't know why I'm so lowly that no one thinks my opinion matters, that, it doesn't matter what I think, feel, dream, desire, where I want to go on vacation. We're going to go on vacation where you want to go on vacation. I don't get to choose. Like, he would always want to go to Disneyland, for example. Every single time we had a chance to go somewhere, I want to go to Disneyland. I don't want to go to Disneyland again and again. I don't want to always go to California. I want to go somewhere else. I want new information. I want new experiences. But he was not like that. But I was different. But do you think I spoke up for myself? No, that just it wasn't going on. And that's my fault. That is not his fault. That's because I didn't know how to stand up for and discuss and go down that road of discussion about why why does it always have to be what you want? Why can't we trade? Why can't it be 1 year I go? No, I was taught and raised that what the man wants is what he gets, and you don't have anything to say about it. You can put out your opinion, but if they don't do it, you always do what he wants to do, because men are more important than women, and women are they're the ones that clean the house and take care of the kids. That's the end of it. That's the religion I was raised in, and that's how I carried on like that. But guess what? It ain't right.
No, and I just want to say, too, when I met Angela, I saw pictures of her, before she was married. And she was happy. She was, a cheerleader. She had a lot going for herself. You could see it in her face. There was this self-confidence. But this resentment, this second place that she took, it's kind of a slow thing. You don't want to cause a fight, so you say, okay, and and then it happens again and happens again. Well, pretty soon, like Angela said, you can become numb to it. You can be totally miserable and have a smile on your face and be totally miserable. And you don't even know why. And that's when it gets dangerous.
Yeah, it really, really does. And it's interesting because the way that I was raised in that way of thinking, that kids and children and women don't have opinions, that we don't have rights, we're just servants to our husbands, and that we are the rocks, the foundation, the helpmeet, right? And that's what we were. So I began to fight that as a teen, and I got a job within walking distance of my home because my mom wouldn't cooperate. I was a cheerleader in my church, but I had to get my own rides back and forth to practices. I was just freaking on my own, but I fought it. And then the day I graduated, I went off to California, and then I went to college after that. And I just began to, get more and more of a feel of myself as time went on. I just began to fight for it. I had jobs, lots of jobs. I worked 2 and 3 jobs. I built that up, but then I got married, and I just kind of went back to the way of my mother and how she did it, and just fell into the hole again. I just couldn't believe that really did happen, but it really, really did. So I'm just going to talk about basically where this goes. So I just gave you my example. So codependent people, they don't know what and who they are. But also, too, as we discussed, they begin to fall into the resentment and the anger that comes out sometimes as a whine, like small whining. You do a lot when you're resentful, because maybe you don't know. Like, again, are you unconsciously resentful? Unconsciously angry? Unconsciously have lost yourself? Well, you got to kind of dig in and say, do I find myself whining a lot? Do people complain that all you do is bitch, complain? Are people saying this? Are you whining and complaining a lot? That is a big, huge sign that you are resentful and angry, okay? So a lot of times codependents are angry and they're resentful. So just know that's a codependent trait. It's a dysfunctional way of being in this life because you don't know how to have your voice. That's the real problem. So you hold your tongue, and you don't speak to the issue when it happens. We repress that feeling, that anger, and we hold it as a grudge against that person. And then we're basically in denial, okay? So this is also the denial mode. That's another codependent trait, is we're in denial about really everything. Unfortunately, we're in denial that we're not happy. We're in denial that we don't like the way we're being treated. We're in denial about that things are not going the way that they're supposed to be. We're in denial that our husband's an alcoholic, or that he's making me do things I don't want to do, and I resent that I have to call his work and call in sick for him all the time when actually it's lying. I resent that I have to do that. I resent the pastor who's having an affair and pretending he isn't, and you're just holding all this in. You just ignore it. You stuff it. You repress it. You never speak to it. You just live with a fakey little smile on your face. That's what a lot of Christians do for sure. It's fake, fake, fake. Christians don't have problems. Christians don't have anything going wrong. We're supposed to be godly, peaceful, meek, mild, forgiving, perfect people, and we don't have problems. We've been forgiven, and we just don't have problems. So they will deny when they see problems going on in the church. They'll just deny when they see problems going on in their home and their family, because we're not supposed to have problems. And if we do, we certainly don't talk about them. That's the rule, man. That's the don't rock the family boat. We don't have problems. We're a perfect family. See, this is the big denial. And we have to get real. If we don't, guess what? What happens is you get sick, you get diseases, you get depressed, you get on depression medication, you get mentally ill, and you start falling apart. And you might be in that place right now. That's how far down I had to go. I was nearly dead. Right. Yeah. I figured it out. I figured, at best, I've got a year left to live. That's as far as my body could take it, because I was just losing. My body was going down to nothing, and I was literally lost in every way, and my body was just shrunken down to nothingness. So that was where my body was taking it. My body didn't know what to do about all the feelings that I was holding inside. It couldn't hold it anymore. So anyway, Dan, what would you like to
Yeah, I'd just like to say
this?
that, she got so low, she said, God, I feel like I'm smaller than an ant. Somebody could just step on me and I wouldn't exist. That's pretty low.
That's pretty low.
But here's the good news. Angela's got a book full of tools here. This Awakening to Unconscious Resentment. You do not have to live in that. And I'm not saying you got to be this big tough guy, this big bully. You've just got to practice these tools so that you can get your voice. And you don't have to live in this resentment. Actually, a guy doesn't like you to shrink down, and a woman doesn't like a guy not to be a man. If a man's just a pushover, okay, she doesn't respect it either. She wants to say, come on, you say something. What do you want to do? And so if this can get balanced out, in which Angela's book teaches, which Angela has achieved, in balancing this out, this husband and wife, this yin and this yang, and not living in resentment, that's what she wants to share with you. She wants to share those tools that took her out of this, because, like I said, it's no way to live. And he's happy. Here's the thing. If I'm miserable, she's going to be miserable, even if it's buried down deep. It's, like her son said to her one time, how come you and Dad are kind of always doing this to each other? She didn't even realize it.
No.
But it was passive aggressive, and he was probably passive aggressive toward her. But the thing about it is, this is no way to live. If you can hear somebody and say, I hear you, yeah, do you want to watch that movie? Yeah, let's go watch it. And I say, but if you watch that movie, I got a movie I've been wanting to watch. It's a little bit, gory, machine guns, and you say, yeah, we'll watch that. But if you can come to that,
or no, I don't want to watch it. You watch it on your own.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want to watch it. You go watch it.
If I really do, I'm going to resent doing it. I'm not going to do it.
If you can do that, you can live in this awakened, and not living in resentment. You can live in this awakened sense of self, of loving yourself. Mm-hmm. If you love yourself, others will love you. Mm-hmm. If you don't love you, they won't love you. If I don't love me, she wouldn't love me. She couldn't respect me because I don't respect me. So this has to be. We have to come out of unconscious resentment so that we can love ourselves. We stand taller. We look more people in the eye. We're not afraid. We've got our voice. It's beautiful. It's not a bad thing.
That's right. And guys, I want to just tell you, next time I'm going to talk about what exactly is codependency. So I've talked about what is resentment, unconscious resentment. What is it? I talked about that in another video. We talked about it a little bit today, but we're going to talk about what are the codependency traits, like in this situation where anger and resentment are beginning to set in, okay? And we're going to talk about like what kind of partners and people are usually the people that you end up hooking up with or marrying because you're codependent in this way, where you're full of rage and resentment in your life. You not learned how to speak your mind and your voice and speak what hurts and say no and all these kind of things. And then we're going to talk about the symptoms of codependency, and I'll just give you a little hint on a few of them. Is denial, which we talked about today, the dependency. So when you kind of lose yourself completely, like I did in the end, then you are pretty well completely dependent on them. What do you want? I'm dependent on what you want, you dream, you desire, you want to do. And so you're dependent at that point, okay? It's not healthy. It's not a healthy dependency. It's okay, Dan and I, we depend on each other. I depend on him, he depends on me in certain aspects of life. Like he counts on me to take care of this, and I count on him to take care of that. And we work together as a team, and I'm dependent on him, him on me. It's a balanced, healthy dependency, but this is unhealthy dependency. Then you have lack of boundaries. We talked about that today. Dysfunctional communication that contributes to the anger and the resentment because you don't know how to speak up for yourself. You're afraid to rock the boat. We talked about that, and speaking the truth and saying no or stop or no more. I'm sorry, I'm not listening to that, Mom, kind of thing. You're afraid that you're not enough. That's a lot of us have a feeling that we're not enough, and we learn that a lot of time. I hate to say it, we learn it in the churches, that we're not enough, that we're good for nothing sinners. I don't believe in that. I do not think that my God sees me that way. Then expecting others to make us happy, which they can't do. And then agreeing to things that we don't want to do. So anyway, I'm going to stop right there, but you get some idea of what we're talking about on ways that we have to change it up. And we have to be willing to take some 12-step classes or read Codependent No More by Melody Beatty and learn these rules of healthy living and being and ways of being that will make you feel better so that you're not harboring all this stuff and your dreams are out the door. I literally had no dreams. When I met Dan, I didn't even know what I wanted, what I dreamed. My dreams had been lost because my dreams had been those of my husband. I had morphed into what are your dreams? Okay, we're going to live your dreams, and everything about my whole life was his dreams. Mine, who knows? I didn't even dream anymore. Dan, I met him, he didn't have dreams.
No.
And we had to find ourselves,
It's kind of cool now because, Angela, a while back, she described the house she wanted to live in, She said, I want to live on the river. I want to, have a fireplace, and I want to have really fresh water, well water, and all these things, and we live in that house now. And I wanted it too. I wanted the same thing. I wanted to be in touch with nature outside, and sure enough, we have that. And so she's not stuffed in some little place I want her to live in, but we compromised. We moved out of another house, and we found this house, and it's wonderful.
Yes, it's wonderful. So I'm going to read you a little saying. Hopefully I can do this without messing up the microphone, but this is Marianne Williamson. It's at the top of my book up here at the very top. And I just really, really like this saying, but it's this. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us, and as we let our light shine, we are giving other people permission to do the same. Marianne Williamson. Great saying by her. I think that we underestimate because of the way that we were raised, that we're just stupid women whose opinion doesn't count. We're good for nothing. We're really, truly not good enough. And you know what? That's just all not true. Absolutely not true. You guys know there's fabulous women and men in this world. And if we don't believe in ourselves, we're not going to be contributing that wonderful uniqueness that God gave each and every one of us that we're meant to put out into this world. We're meant to shine our light, to love on people in the unique way with unique talents that each of us has. And we all have something unique. We do. Even if it's just the way we say things, the way we present things, that certain thing that we just do a little differently than everybody else that makes a huge difference in the world. And just think of all the different artists. There's a million different paintings of flowers, but a certain artist will do a certain flair to the whole thing that just melts you. Whereas another artist's way of rendering it is what melts somebody else. Maybe they like the more abstract, and that makes them dreamy, and that's what they prefer. But see, everybody's doing flowers, but there's a million different ways of doing flowers. And everybody's different who likes those things and what they would choose to have in their house. So you are important in what you have to offer. And there's probably going to be a million different creative things that you don't know that you have inside you. that Dan and I even discovered what was inside of us, and we still are, that we didn't know we had. Like Dan didn't know that he was an artist when I met him. He a great painter. He didn't know that he was like that. He didn't know that he could be a fabulous business owner. He wasn't a business owner. Well, barely. He had it in paper when I met him, but he didn't know all these gifts that he's got inside. And it's the same with you too. So anyway, I hope this inspired you. Thank you for listening, and we'll have more inspiring things, because this is a very long book. It's 300 pages, and there's a lot to cover, a lot of wonderful, wonderful stories. So I can illustrate what I'm talking about. You can see real life stories where people were overcoming these things and what they had to go through and how they rose above it. It's really a very inspiring book, and it also tells my crazy story I shared a little bit today. But anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Dan and I both thank you.
All right.
Wait. Okay, again, here's my book, Awakening from Unconscious Resentment. You can get it on Amazon if you're interested. And Dan wrote this book, and I'm a co-author. It's Surrender.
Yep.
Your Key to the Kingdom Within, and it's got a different color now. When you go
green.
when you go on the internet, it'll be green now instead of yellow. We changed the cover on it. And then this one, Eyewitness: The Shocking Insider's Story of Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's a true crazy story. It truly is a shocking story about what Dan went through as a kid with a schizophrenic mother, honestly, and just he grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. Obviously, you can tell by the title in there, but just went on, and then what he had to overcome, how he overcame it, what steps he took, the craziness that led him to be forced to find a way out, and then being led to a great life, a wonderful life with a wife that he dreamed of, that he prayed for, and his dreams coming true. And just so you could do it too. I don't care how low down you are. Dan was just as low down as me at the certain point in his life,
Yep.
about 4 years before he met me. And so I don't care how low down you are, you can rise above this and do great and mighty things. I don't even care how old you are, I really, really don't. You can change this around. And I hope you do if you're at all relating to any of this stuff. Okay, but if not, hopefully you can pass on the tidbits you got and help others who are struggling. Okay, thanks for listening, you guys.
All right.
We love you. Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Over and out from Dan and Angela Clark with Heart to Heart. That's the name of our program. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.